Hi again. This is Ruthie Wagner here teaching relevant Bible translations. And we are going to come a little bit out of the book by Hill and others and go into a book, Bible Translation, an introductory course in translation principles by Catherine Barnwell. And I believe you've looked at this book before, studied this book before, but we're going to review a couple chapters that are relevant to what we're learning from Hill and others in her book. So last week we talked about processing effort, the benefits and relevance of processing effort. So trying to make our language interesting and natural, but also make it not so hard for people to understand us. So lowering the processing effort as much as we possibly can so that as much meaning can come out of our words in our translation. So we talked about cognitive benefits, the things that benefit our mind, and that translators need to ensure that audiences are able to experience enough benefits, get enough out of what is being said without unnecessary processing effort. So not spending too much time trying to understand the translation is our goal. So this week we're going to work out of chapter 4 and 5 of the book by Catherine Barnwell. And these chapters are called More About Meaning-Based Translation and Qualities of a Good Translation. And so this is related to what we were studying last week. So in chapter 4, Barnwell says, the meaning of certain combinations of words is different from the meaning of those words when taken separately. So the meaning of the combination is different from when the words are taken separately. She gives the example of an idiom, which is precisely words together meaning something different from the same words separately. So every culture, every language will have unique idioms. And these idioms, or you might say idiomatic expressions, are what make a language sound natural. It's how you would distinguish someone who was a native speaker versus someone who had learned the language. That if people are using a lot of idioms, you would say they're a natural speaker of your language. If you don't use idiomatic expressions in your translation, it will not sound natural. It'll sound unnatural, as if the author is only learning your language and doesn't know how to speak it properly. So Barnwell gives a couple examples, saying that in Mark 5:43, the book of Mark 5:43, quote, he strictly charged them, can be translated in Mbembe in Nigeria, Jesus pulled their ears. So strictly charged them, Jesus pulled their ears. Or Luke 22:56 in the Igede language, she looked straight at him, can be translated, she bit him with her eye. She bit him with her eye. How would strictly charged or looked straight be translated in your language? So think about that. How would Jesus strictly charged them be translated in your language? Would it be something like Jesus pulled their ears? Try to think about that and discuss that. Would you translate them word for word? Or do you also have an idiom that would make it sound natural? I want to pause the video and list 5. I want you to pause the video and list 5 qualities of a good Bible translation that you think should have. So type them directly in our WhatsApp group, in our WhatsApp conversation. So pause the video, think of 5 qualities of a good Bible translation that you think of. Okay, so chapter 5 discusses the qualities of a good Bible translation. So every good Bible translation, many translation organizations agree on this, is that it should be accurate, clear, and natural. Accurate, clear, and natural. So accurate refers to communicating the meaning of the original message as closely as possible. The meaning. So, and then clear refers to communicating in a way that the reader will understand the meaning. And natural refers to whether the translation flows and sounds good in the target language, that it sounds good. The fourth quality Barnwell gives in chapter 5 is acceptable. So, will the translation be rejected or cause offense by words used? For example, maybe using taboo words instead of euphemisms, or making dialect choices that would offend your audience, that would make a translation less acceptable. So these 4 qualities are Barnwell's choices for a good translation. And then when we compare this to Hill and others that we are looking at together, the book Hill, Hill largely addresses the quality of relevant. Is the translation relevant? So we've talked about this in other weeks, and so she's adding this to the qualities of a good translation. So is a translation relevant? Maybe you ask, does this translation connect in a meaningful way? So this is chapter 4 and 5 of Barnwell. And we talked about idioms and then how to have a quality Bible translation. Particularly, is it natural? So, and acceptable. So now for your assignment for this week, I want you to discuss as a team the difference between the terms acceptable and relevant, and then share with your answers with me in the chat. So what is an acceptable Bible translation and what is a relevant Bible translation? So let's look at those this week and put those in the chat. So I look forward to seeing your answers there.